Meeting to order. Please rise for pledge of allegiance and maintain for a moment of private prayer. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please have a seat. This meeting here is, the purpose of is to discuss and talk about the proposed tax rates, property tax rates for next year. This is something we do every year. It's required by law that we do this. And so this is where the public gets a chance to speak out, to make any kinds of comments if you want to, or input from anybody. So I want to welcome everybody here this afternoon. And so to get us started, I want to call on our superintendent to talk about the proposed tax rates.
I just have a few slides to share, and the first one is just a description of our tax rates. In this instance, we will be talking about the compensating tax rate, and that's obviously applied with when the current year's property assessment, excluding new property, produces enough revenue to equal that produced the preceding school year. And in this case, that would be 54.5 cents plus our nickel revenue, and then our 4% increase would be a rate that would produce 4% over the amount of revenue produced by the compensating tax rate. And so the next slide, you can actually see those rates. Currently, our tax rate is 55 cents. This year, the compensating tax rate would actually be lower. It would be 54.5, but with the nickel, that would actually make 60 cents. With the 4% revenue, we would have 56.6. And the reason I bring that up is because in the event that the nickel tax is recalled, it will automatically revert to that 4% growth. And that is based on the KRS 131, 0.17, parentheses 3, parentheses D. So those are what we're looking at. And then the next slide actually shows information about your motor vehicle tax. That will remain the same. Your utility tax will remain the same. Your real estate would be 60 if the nickel is actually voted in. Last year that was 55 cents. Personal property, last year it was 55 cents. This year it is 60. And these are based on $100 assessment value. Just a little chart that we put together is what would be the difference of the two. And at the top, notice I put the compensating tax rate plus the nickel. And again, our compensating tax rate, if you were just looking at that, is actually lower than what we currently have. Currently it was 55 cents. So it was actually 54.5, and then with the nickel, that's where you get the 60 cents. And how that would affect what you pay every month, it would be the difference. So it would be 25, 50, 75, 100, and 125. If you look at that monthly, it would range from $2 to $10 based on the value of your home. And then again, if the nickel is recalled, it will automatically revert to that 4%. So there's going to be an increase, and again, that would range from $8 to $40, and then you can see per month would be around 67 cents all the way to $3.33. And then obviously you could do the math and calculate the difference between what's it going to look like if the nickel is passed versus what it's going to be if you have the 4%. One of the things that after talking to some folks, is I did ask our board attorney that's going to be working with us on this issue, Mr. Mike Alslick's here as well. So if there's questions, legal questions, or something that I can't answer, he's here that can help us answer that. And so I know I went through this real quick, but I know this is a hearing, so folks have an opportunity to speak up if they would like to speak up. So just a little bit of information.
Okay.
had a question real quick. Can we go back to the slide that showed the motor vehicle tax? I think it was slide 3. That one right there, Teresa, go back, sorry. I just want to point out to everybody, there's been some discussion in the community about this proposed nickel tax applying to motor vehicles. Some people have been spreading that information. I would invite anyone to take a look at this slide here and understand that the motor vehicle tax rate is not increasing. Regardless of what we do here today, whether the nickel's passed or not, the motor vehicle tax rate and utility tax rate will remain the same at the same level it was last year. So there was some confusion about that, and I wanted you guys to make sure you saw that slide because we went through it pretty quick.
Okay, we got a
Question.
Yes.
Define what falls under personal property then.
Mr. Allison, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, personal property would be anything other than motor vehicles for purposes of the tax. So personal property would include, well, it's broad, it's anything other than motor vehicles, because motor vehicles are
Give
excluded.
an example. Give some examples. Are we talking about boats?
Yeah, a boat is not a motor vehicle, so a boat, it would apply to the boat. I haven't checked that, but off the top of my head, I believe it would, because I don't think that's a motor vehicle. The motor vehicle is an exclusion from the rate.
I understand that. I'm just trying to.
What is
I just want to
included?
know what falls into the personal property category. It's got to be more than one item.
Well, it does. It's anything that's personalty that you own, or that any taxpayer owns, other than a motor vehicle. Motor vehicles are excluded, but, I mean, it's anything but that. So I'm not sure I can answer your question, but I'll try. If you have a question about a specific item, for example, a specific thing as to whether it would be included or not.
I'm just trying to understand
Yeah.
what's going to fall under the personal property umbrella.
Well, I think the only way.
Things that people out there are going to be paying taxes on.
If the tax would apply to any personal property other than a motor vehicle. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to say what it applies to. It's easier to say what it does not apply to. That's where the statute reads.
Okay.
Sorry, that's the best I can do, unless some board member wants to chip in on that.
If you're paying tangible personal property tax, for instance, you have a business and you're depreciating equipment, and you're paying a tax on that equipment. All right, this is going to be the type of thing that is going to be taxed. If you didn't pay any personal property taxes last year, you're not going to pay any next year. It's not. We're not adding a category of personal property tax. It's going to be what you paid last year. If there was something that you own, some piece of equipment that you were paying personal property taxes on before, you'll pay that next year, and that will increase. But this isn't adding an additional category of tax.
I understand. So I think, for example, a business, just say Doug's downtown, whatever his inventory is on the shelves, it's going to fall under that umbrella. Or if I got a construction business out here and I've got track hose and any kind of equipment I'm using in construction, it would fall under that umbrella, from what I understand.
It would fall under the umbrella of personal property.
Right.
But now recognize that property value normally depreciates every year. I haven't owned a business myself. I know that you pay maybe $100,000, and then you can do the accelerated depreciation. You pay lesser, or you pay on a lesser amount the following year. So although the tax may go up on say $100,000, that property may have depreciated to $95,000 that current year. Am I correct, Mr. Reed?
Yes. That is correct. But what people need to understand is this is not creating a new category of taxable materials. These are things that if you're currently getting taxed on, your rate's going to go from 55 to 60, just like it would on your real estate tax. But it's not creating a new category of taxes.
Joe?
The other thing I'm real confused on, I walked off and left the announcement that was published in the Enterprise. Can someone read that for everybody's benefit? Because what I'm confused about, Mike, I know we've got the one out there that's going to go on the ballot in November, right?
Yes.
And if I understand this, that's why I'm asking for it to be read. if I understand this correctly, let's say it passes, so you've got the nickel tax, then we're gonna come back, and that's for 2017, we're gonna get another nickel tax. Just read it, please, if you would, because I think, if it says 5 cents, that's a nickel, isn't it? It doesn't say,
Notice of tax hearing, this is what's the copy that appears in the local paper. Board of Education of Marion County, Kentucky will hold a public hearing in the District Administration Building, 755 East Main Street, Lebanon, Kentucky, 40033 on Thursday, September the 8th, 2016 at 4:30 p.m. local time to hear public comments regarding a proposed general fund tax levy of 60 cents on real property and 60 cents on personal property. The general fund tax levied in fiscal year 2016 was 55 cents on real property and 55 cents on personal property and produced a revenue of $6,104,739.08. The proposed general fund tax rate of 60 cents on real property and 60 cents on personal property is expected to produce $6,940,494.23. Of this amount, $1,496,504.68 are from new and personal property. The compensating rate, tax rate for 2017 is 54.5 cents on real property and 54.5 cents on personal property, and is expected to produce $6,304,282.26. The general areas to which the revenue of $835,755.15 above 2016 revenues is to be allocated are as follows. Cost of collections, $31,340.82. Building fund, $636,211.97. Instructions, $168,202.36. The General Assembly has required publication of this advertisement and the information contained herein, period.
I guess my question, what's confusing to me, you know, we got a nickel tax that's gonna be on the ballot. That is gonna be, if passed, that's gonna be for tax year 2016.
Yes,
That's correct.
that's correct.
Okay, so this one we're talking about here is for 2017.
No, we don't set 2017 tax rates until next September.
Okay, even if, okay, given that this is still what's confusing to me here, we got this opinion over here to be voted on. And yet, when it's voted on, if it passes, it's gonna come out to 60 or 60.5, right?
No, if it's passed, it'll be 60.
I'm talking about this one, I'm talking about the one on the ballot.
This is the one on the ballot. So what we've done here, and this is how I understand it, and I want you to understand it too, because this is important, Joe, because I know that you have put a lot of work into understanding how this works.
I'm trying to.
I understand. Last year, our tax rate was 55 cents.
That's correct.
Okay. If we adopt the compensating rate this year, that 55 cents will go down to 54.5 cents. Okay? Because the county is growing, the tax base has grown, so the compensating rate for us is 54.5 cents. We have passed a nickel tax, which adds 5.5 cents to that. So you get the 54.5, if that's what we do. We could go up to 56.6 or whatever it is, but if we adopt the lowest rate they've given us, which is 54.5 cents, which is a tax cut, if we cut taxes on that compensating rate and we add the nickel on top of it, it's a 60-cent tax. That's what you'll pay. If the nickel is passed. If the nickel is defeated, that rolls back to the 56.64% rate by law. That's not something we have any control over. That's not something we can vote on tonight. That is state law. The part of this tax that is recallable is what is over and above 4%. So what the people in the community need to understand is you're looking at two numbers. If we adopt the compensating rate, the two numbers you're looking at are 60 cents, which comes with potential state match, potential opportunities for other grants and aid, or 56.6. Those are the two figures that are up for discussion when it comes to the ballot in November. Tonight, we've got a wide range of options, and I don't speak for everybody up here, but I know how I'm leaning. I want to give people a tax cut. I want to take the lowest rate we can tonight, and that's what I want to do. And I think my other board members probably feel the same way. But that's the figures. We were at 55. If we adopt the compensating, we'll get down to 54.5.
I'm confused. I'm confused for the simple fact that what I've tracked up until this announcement came out, it had to go on the ballot. And depending on the outcome of the ballot, either it's going to go back to 4% or you're going to get 5.5%, right?
That's right.
So where does this latest announcement come into play?
That latest announcement says what the 5.5 cents is added on to. That's our base tax rate. Last year it was 55. I expect tonight we'll probably vote to lower it to 54.5. And that's what the nickel will be added to. If it's passed.
When will it be added?
It'll be added after the election in November if it's
Yeah,
passed.
it'll be on this year's tax.
Yes. Folks, anyone who has questions, don't feel embarrassed. This is very difficult subject matter. We live and breathe this stuff. All the members on the board have spent hours and hours pouring over this stuff for months now. It's not, if you have a question, this is your opportunity to ask. We're not scared to answer your questions tonight.
Well, and like, I was confused as well, but this is something you have to do every year.
We set-
Separate from the nickel, you have to set the tax rate.
We set the tax rate every year.
How many times have you took the lower rate before though? See, I think there's a hidden gem behind this getting a lower rate now. You're trying to buy voters on the nickel tax to make yourself look good here.
I know one year that since I've been on the board, we didn't take an increase at all on one, and that
I'm just
was,
asking.
I think that wasn't last year, I think it was the year before. I've been on board now 3 years, I believe. We didn't take a tax rate the year before last at all.
What we have
I do know that.
What we have heard going around since this all has come up from the community is they want us to show them that we're going to be fiscally responsible. We're going to use the taxpayers' money in the best way possible. We are foregoing, by if we adopt the 54.5 cents, the numbers are there, but we're foregoing $250,000, $300,000 in revenue that we could take without being subject to recall. And if we got the nickel, it'll be on top of that. But we're not doing that. At least I'm not doing that, and I think the other board members feel the same way. The compensating rate is a tax cut. If we adopt the compensating rate tonight, we're lowering our base tax rate from what it was last year.
I thought it was off.
And if I understand you correctly, you're doing that because our community is growing and our tax base is growing, so therefore we don't need that much money. Is that correct?
But
Well, it's one way to put it.
That's the country way to put it.
Right, yeah, I guess.
Country way of putting it is we can get by with the same level of funding that we had last year. And to do that this year, we can give the community a little bit of a tax break.
Gotcha.
It's not much, it's a half a cent. But we can get by our general fund, our operations, the things that you see going on in the schools every day. We can get by and we can budget at that level. And I'm sure that there are plenty of programs, if we had an additional $300,000 that we could implement, but we're choosing, if we go this route, to hold the line and not ask for anything more than what we need to fund the schools at the level we're at right now. Because remember, if the nickel comes through, that's not money that goes into our general fund. That's not money we can use to pay for a teacher or a bus driver or an extracurricular activity or anything other than capital renovation and building projects. So the general fund balance for the district, if the compensating rate is approved, is going to remain where it was.
Mr. Pinkston.
What's,
Oh, excuse me.
Go ahead, Joe.
I'm still lost. We've got a ballot coming up, and we're talking about this. Those are two different things. Right.
Yeah.
Who sets the compensating rate?
Kentucky Department of Education.
But again, what we're looking at, what this hearing is about, is still a nickel increase in the general tax fund rate.
No.
It was 55 cents last year.
And it's going to 54.5. It's a half a cent decrease in the general tax rate.
Yeah.
Is that gonna be the tax rate if this nickel does not pass?
If the nickel does not pass by state law, it reverts to the 4% tax rate. So it reverts to 56.6. And there's nothing that any of us can do about that. We can't vote to change that. That's the default rate if the nickel is not passed. So if someone is walking into the voting booth and they want to know, what are my two choices? The one hand is 60 cents, which comes, and I won't go through them all, but you know I have a long laundry list of reasons why that's good. All of the additional things that it does for us with state matching and funding and those sorts of things, or 56.6 cents. Those are the two choices.
Mr. Pinkerton?
Yes, we need money for building, and you can bond the nickel. And it's hard. I don't think you could bond out of the general fund. You can't do that because this is going to be coming in every year, and I think that's one of the things that people don't understand is how this nickel comes in every year, and yet it's there in the 60 cents. And whatever the rate is, that nickel is still going to be there. Isn't that correct? Yeah. If we didn't do anything and tax rate next year went down, the nickel would still be there. That's correct. It's always there. That's the difference. The nickel is always there. And if we put it in the general fund, it's not there. That's true. And that's what really, and that's why we can always use money in the general fund. But where we need it is in buildings because that money is generated year after year.
Joe, do you understand now? I don't want us to move forward until you are okay.
You're not going to be paying 65.5 cents, Joe. You're not going to be adding the 5.5 cents or the nickel to.
What you're talking about here is going to be paying, this proposal here is 60 versus 60.5.
No, this includes the nickel.
Now, what he's saying is if that we didn't take the compensating rate and we stayed at 55 cents, then it would be 60.5. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Livers? Well, you just said it's 60 versus 60.5. If we didn't take the compensating rate, the board members could say, we're going to keep the tax rate at 55 cents. They could elect to do that. And then, plus the nickel would be 60.5. But I hear some of them saying that they want to go with the compensating rate, which is lower, like what you said, and then when you add the 5.5, then you get to 60 cents. The Department of Education sends us different options. We can stay where we are. If you've got growth, the compensating rate is normally a little bit lower because you're going to produce the same amount of revenue. You can take a 1%, 2%, 3%, the maximum you can take is 4%. Am I right, Mr. Elsa? And so the board's just figuring out what is your base rate. And once they decide that, then they'll add the 5.5 cents over that.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm curious as to why excess funds were budgeted in next year's budget rather than reverting those excess funds to the building fund, which I believe is allowed by law.
Say that one more time.
The excess funds that were in the general fund and were budgeted into next year's budget, effectively inflating the budget with unallocated funds. Why was that process done rather than reverting those excess funds, either leaving them in the general fund or reverting those funds to the building fund, which I believe is allowed by law?
So what excess funds are you
$4.2 million that was in the general fund.
It's a contingency.
Yes.
That's kind of like savings account.
Well, now, I know Rich and I talked about this last month, we did have a follow-up discussion on it. You say the contingency fund, I believe we had right at $7 million in reserves at the end of the school year. It's right at
Yeah,
7
right.
million.
Right.
Nearly 2 million of that is what you had to put back in contingency fund. It's nearly 5 million that was spent over into next year's budget. And that's the concern that I and a lot of people I talk to have, is that we've been doing that for a long time. And why aren't we setting some of that money aside for the building fund?
I'd like to make a comment about what you said.
Let me finish.
Okay, I'm sorry.
When I say that, if we, I just look at how I manage my money. I know, and I'd like to see the numbers on what our reserves, excess, whatever you want to call it, at the end of every fiscal year is. And over the last 20 years, if we just been putting back a couple $1 billion, which I think we've had that much or more every year, if we'd been putting a couple $1 billion back, we'd have had the money to pay for schools up front.
I like
That books.
One thing is that we're very fortunate that we do have a little bit of money. Now, we have to have a certain amount in the contingency fund, which is like $2.3 million. So we have another like maybe 4 million in that neighborhood. But, which we're very fortunate that we have that. If this nickel, let's say the nickel didn't go through, and that $4 million, let's say we had to put a roof on it, or maybe we had to put a couple roofs on it, we more than likely wouldn't have enough money. So we're fortunate that we do have a little bit of money left each year. So I don't think anybody's saying, well, we're absolutely broke. But we put a roof on over here, we put a roof on, it's over $1 million to put this roof on. So if we had a couple roofs, then we'd be in deep trouble.
And if you'll look, Mr. Livers, the amount of excess we have on a yearly basis, the last couple of years, we have returned about $100,000 for each of those years. Our revenue and our expense, and that's what you look at. You look at the revenue you bring in and the expenses that you have. And the revenue has outstriped expenses by about $100,000. Now, we could have taken that $100,000 and put it into the building fund. We could have done that. And in 10 years, we would have had $1 million. And in 50 years, we'd have had $5 million. And in 100 years, you'd have had enough to build a school.
Maybe.
And we really have to be very careful when we do our budget, actually. I mean, if we mess this budget up, and I'm a big one on, like that $4 million you're talking about where that ought to be at or shown. And we just have to be very careful though when we do our budget that we do have a little bit of money there, but we don't have enough to go out and do a lot of repairs. There's not enough money there for that. So we have to have money in reserve every year, just in case.
But this money that you're talking about, that was transferred into
The general.
goes into the general fund, so it can be spent however, is that correct?
It never left the general fund, Joe. It was there at the beginning of the year, it's there at the end, it was never
But
spent.
for accounting purposes, it's spent over the next year's fund.
It's called a carry forward
That
balance.
money be spent.
That money can be spent however we need it to be spent. But, as Butch said, that is our savings account. That is what happens when a loss or an unexpected expense comes up. And when we replace a roof in a school for $500,000, or we replace a cooling tower for $100,000, or we have to pay the parking lot unexpectedly, or a school bus goes down and costs $100,000. I mean, it's not like your personal finances at your house. Having $4 million in an account sounds like you've got a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, except when you talk about what has to be paid for out of it.
Mr. Spalding, did you have a question, comment?
You all kind of touched on it also, HVAC, we got a lot of aging systems that are 20 years plus. West Marion's been 30 years. I've got a unit down there right now that's out. What you and I could put in our home for $7,000, $8,000, just one unit does the whole thing. Now, these schools have 30, 40 units in it, so you're going to get into the millions of dollars pretty quick. So it's savings account, Joe, you're right, that is basically a savings account. If you budget at home, put back money each month to put a new roof on your house in 20 years or a new air conditioning heating system in 20 years, we are too. The ratio is basically the same, but we got a lot more to do. So we're not doing just one roof or one, a 100 square home. We're doing 780 square roofs, and we're doing 25 and 30 air conditioning units at a time. So the ratio is similar, but the dollars it costs as the expense is more as well. So the millions of dollars, it looks good on paper, but in reality it doesn't go as far as it would at me in your house.
And I think the point that we miss is that if we're sitting here with $4 million for discussion purposes, what I can get, or we can get through the nickel tax, $4 million, and then get the state to match that $4 million, now we double the amount of money we have. Got our $4 million, plus the state is going to match X amount, plus there are other funds that we've seen, Washington County, Taylor County, where the state has come up with additional funds. So operate not on the $4 million we have, that you say is surplus, contingency, whatever you want to call it, but I also get the benefit of getting the state, or we get the benefit of getting the state to match those funds, which in essence doubles the amount that we have.
Okay, we've got time for one more question.
Where is that $4.2 million right now?
Citizens National Bank.
Just to make it real simple.
What fund is it in? I mean, yeah, where is it right now? I mean, you got $2.3 million in the contingency fund. I understand that. But there was $6.5 million in that fund. So where's the other $4.2 million right now?
It's Citizens National Bank.
What fund?
I don't know the number. Lisa's not here. I don't know the number. It's tracked to the
I mean, wasn't that what y'all put in the budget back in the summer? Wasn't that what you took the $4.2 million in the next year's budget? Where is that money right now?
It's in the bank. Citizens National Bank.
So why did you hide it in the budget? Why is it not in the general fund?
Do you think the budget is it's like a box we actually take money and stick it in? The money never left the bank. It's there. It was there last year. It'll be there next year. It's not gone anywhere.
We hope.
It's
We
accounted
don't
for, I
have it.
understand. Question related to it, I was studying this week's paper. According to the summary that's published here, it says our ending balance of money that we have on 30 June. Yeah. So we had $3,825,561.73, right?
I think we're,
Well, I mean, that's this week's paper. But in the fine print down here at Citizens Bank, I guess two notaries has to sign off on it. We've got $11,395,843. It's about a $7.5 million difference.
Which is what we're talking about. $2.5 million has to be contingency, and then whatever that 4 or 5, whatever it is, that's the difference. So
I'm with you. I'm not. It's just in the accounting process when a person looks at it. Most people don't pay attention to it, okay?
Yeah.
But I do, and it says our ending balance. I know when I've got books that I've got to have signed off on. I've got to have trustees and auditors sign off on it, and those numbers have got to match.
And we'll have an audit starting here shortly. We've got clean bill of health every year from our auditor. They look at all this stuff, guys. We look at it every month. The auditor comes through and looks at it. We've got controls in place. And it's all available on our website. Our financials documents are available. We can look at them everywhere. Anybody that wants to look at them, they're all available. We are as transparent as any group in the county.
okay. With final thought, Joe, or anybody?
Just one last question. Expenditures that go out for various schools or whatever, does the school board have to sign off on it before this money can be spent?
For what expenditures?
All this stuff that's listed here, money paid out to vendors.
Yes.
So
We
the
approve
school,
all
I guess the
spending.
superintendent's office submits it, the school board has
There's a
to
process.
approve it.
There's a process. There's a purchase order, piece of paper with a number filled out.
But the school board has to approve it before the bills can be paid.
That's correct. Okay, this concludes our tax hearing, and the floor is open for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Chairman, Mr. Caleb Reed, second by Butch Cecil, all those in favor of adjourn, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, ayes have it. The meeting's over with. Let's take 5 minutes between tax hearing to start of our board meeting.